Welcome to Clone Force 99 training. Let's see if you can get some desirable mutations. Crosshair is going to be running point on today's mission. As a sniper, Crosshair is a big fan of big guns, so you're going to be hitting the glutes with him. You'll need heavy kettlebells or dumbbells to get the job done right. I'm using two 45-pound kettlebells for reference. You've got 30 seconds of work and 30 seconds of rest. Rest as you need between reps, and know that you can always modify to work around injuries or pain. Throughout the video, I'll be providing form tips leading into the exercise. Be sure and stick around at the end of the video for your cool down as well. I'll also recommend grabbing a challenge calendar, nutrition toolkit and resources, and joining the Republic Army via the link in the comments. Alright troopers, let's roll out.
you. It's in the outer space. I'll take you to a place where we can live our life. I'll take you to a place. It's in the outer space.
You must think that I'm a restless case because I ran away, because I ran away. If you listen to the words I say, you know that I'm okay, you know it's just a phase. Don't think I'm leaving cause I'm not at all. And if you get hurt it's unintentional. I just wanted you to realize that I'm the one you like, that I'm the one you like. So where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go? I don't know. Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Baby, I've been busy missing you. Say, have you missed me too? Say, have you missed me too? Was this intermission good for you? Yeah, was it good for you? Or are you just confused? Don't think I'm leaving cause I'm not at all. So if you get hurt, it's unintentional. And I know that what I did was typical. I just needed time to show you what you got. So where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? Where do we go? Where do we go from here? A sign from you telling me you need me here just like I do. All I ever wanted was to make it through. Tell me, how about you? How about you?